So we've mentioned Leonardo a few times throughout our conversations, and I believe he is on the council. Could you talk to me about Leonardo?
If I could describe him, it would be as the beautiful one. He is the most pure, beautiful spirit you could ever meet. He is the personification of brilliance in every way, but particularly as a human. I would argue the greatest mind that's been on earth for what he was able to do. In many ways, it's a sad story of Leonardo that turned out a good story. From a very humble beginning in Italy, you know, his mind took over, and from very young he was conscious of the knowledge that he could get from the greater universe, that he wasn't going to get that out of school or his mother or anyone else. He could get love, but he couldn't get the knowledge that he craved, and his journey was pretty much his own. And what we know and what he knew at the time is that he was getting it from his guides, and also via he was able to really tap into the knowledge beyond the earth. So that extraterrestrial sort of knowledge. Leonardo was proudly gay, and he carried a troupe of people with him who were his assistants or apprentices, but because they were male, he received a lot of criticism for that. His work was predominantly, and sadly from his perspective, working for rulers or kings of different persuasions to create weapons of war. What he did was, whilst he was doing that, because they had an upcoming conflict, by themselves are, revolutionary, but he would continue his work for society, and he would continue having his apprentices doing the work for society. Every time when the war was over, he recognised the pattern as that his homosexuality put him out of favour, and he was soon sacked and put on the street. So he was forever foreseeing this and putting in for new jobs where he could foresee new conflict. By the time he was just past 60, he really was running out of places to go, and he had his troupe and they were wandering and there was no work available. And Leonardo was distressed to some degree because he couldn't finish his work. He'd done so much, and whilst there was more to do, he hadn't recorded it. So it wasn't enough left for society into the future. And then, as it was obviously meant, some would say fortuitously, but not us, the King of France at the time, who was very young, and his sister Marguerite, he was Premier Francois I, they sent a courier, a messenger to Leonardo, and invited him to France, and specifically to a village called Amboise, offered him a position and offered him a chateau, Clos-le-Sey. What happened as a consequence is that Leonardo not only had a position of organising, a major part of the Renaissance, or of the French Renaissance, through bringing all the Italian greats over to France, he was the mentor for the king and his sister. So he mentored them on how they should run a country, how they should live, what they need to do, what the dangers are, what the perils are. So for the last 3 years of his life, he was their mentor, and he got to record everything that he needed to record. His people had a beautiful place to live, and such was his connection and regularity of visits with the king. There was 800 metres underground in a direct line of sight between the Chateau Amboise, which is where the king lived, and his sister and Marguerite. He created a tunnel. He had the tunnel dug, the king did, and it came up into the kitchen, into Leonardo's kitchen, and it's the most magnificent thing. So the king could go there very quickly and quietly and safely at any time, and he was there pretty much every night. And Marguerite, not quite as often, but Marguerite was there absolutely regularly. And the connection, therefore, back to the French Renaissance, Leonardo was effectively a founder by his ability to do what he did. He was simply brilliant. He was the most beautiful person, persecuted for no good reason other than his sexual proclivity, which happens today. It's, again, very sad. And he died at peace. He's the most beautiful entity.
We know a lot about Leonardo technically. How much of what we know now is accurate?
Like everything in history, a good history book is about 60% accurate. Leonardo didn't regard painting as that important. It was something that he did. It was important so he could sketch his work. And he saw a painting as never being finished. And that was the case also with the Mona Lisa, that he continued until he got it to the state that he got to before he died, that it became that. And any study of his work shows there's always more done by Leonardo. He was never satisfied.
We're now commencing a trance mediumship session with Ian. We will now listen to Leonardo da Vinci.
My name is Leonardo. It was not a burden to me to be gifted in the way that I was, but it was a burden for so many around me. I had access to knowledge that would change the world long into the future. My remit, my role, was to bring enough knowledge for discovery for 500 years. One of the reasons that in my painting I never saw a painting as finished was to leave a message. Nothing is finished. Once something new is given, is provided, there is continual opportunity to improve it. There's that is not innovation, that is just improvement. I'm not sure what innovation is. For a new idea is creation, or in reality recreation, because it does not come out of nowhere. It comes from other place of existence. It comes from the spiritual world. It comes from a combination of these. I was not a despot, and I did not like working for despots. Those who would rule with fear, with a so-called iron hand. Anyone who rules with this iron hand is a fool. For what can you feel with an iron hand? You can feel nothing. And if you can't feel, you can't create. You can't improve. You can't recreate. You can do little. You can exist. One of the primary purposes of a people on earth is to observe each other, is to understand those who are more like you, to find them, to seek them out, and then to challenge each other. Challenge each other for improvement, how to do better. It was with all of my apprentices. I gave them great autonomy, great roles. I encouraged their work. I showed them what they did that could be improved upon. It gave them the scope to search for themselves for new. There is so little new. There is so little scope on this earth for new. Because people are not doing the search in a pure sense. A searcher for truth cannot come from a preconceived notion of what the outcome should be. That is narrow, that is a filtered, that is not a science. If in my small community of workers, of followers, of friends, of associates, the camaraderie was intense. There was little to no jealousy. Everyone encouraged everyone to do better, to improve upon themselves, to challenge not what is within you, but what can be brought to you. For the future of the earth cannot come from the earth. It has had a lot of years to achieve that. As you know, in the scheme of things in the greater universe, the earth is young, but it is behind schedule because of the particular need for people to do things for themselves, made worse by those in power who do things for themselves. I was a mentor in my final years for the King of France and for his sister Marguerite. And what I implored upon them is that you are emissary, you are between this great world out there and the people. You have to be generous to the people, all of the people. You have to show them that you love them. You have to show them that you appreciate them, that they are important because their life has been spent not feeling important. They should not get a great thrill out of being visited by the king. They should expect it For this is the role, and you should not just go by and wave from a distance as if you are a robot. What you are meant to do is to, in every time you teach or reach your people, you express your love to them, your appreciation. You are not above the people, you are over the people. That is what I taught them more than anything, the importance of the distribution of feeling. And that distribution of feeling incorporated the distribution of wealth, including the wealth and the beauty of art. If every person felt important, if every person felt touched, they will wanted to change the world. And they did. I would like to be remembered as much for this time as for everything I did scientifically. All that I did in many ways has helped the earth. And I would say one of the most important is what I designed, to how cities should work under the ground to distribute waste. That has allowed a building beyond what was speculated as possible. It has reduced problems with health. That was important, but I would much prefer to be remembered as someone who felt so much love, who felt that everyone who wanted to see me, who I agreed to see, would leave feeling embraced. For the time we were together, we merged as one. Superiority is a lonely place. Thank you.
Leonardo, what message would you give to the scientists of our world today?
Find another job or be true to your gift. For the benefactors of a science, ask not what you will get. Just ask them to explore from within themselves as to what they believe that they need to discover, which will change. Advancements scientifically on Earth would seem to be vast, but they are not. Little is being discovered that is not known or believed. Free some branch of a science to learn of the meaning and the beauty and the thrill and the upliftment of scientific discovery. That is what is important. Not innovation, not recreating something that is known or just improving. That is almost everything that happens.
Thank you, Leonardo.
Wasn't that amazing? Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to find out more about each of the council members and hear a message via Trance with Ian Rogers, be sure to like, comment or subscribe and check out all the other videos on each of the council members on this channel. Thanks so much.